Natalie here from The Officials, and I'm bringing you another video in this series that I'm doing with the lovely folks over at Anderson Hoare. And today I want to talk to you about something a bit sexy, email triage. Okay, it's not really sexy, but it is something that can be a real game changer, especially if you've never heard of it before. It is not a new concept or a new methodology. However, it is something I learned it a few years ago. However, I'm surprised at how many assistants and admins I know that aren't aware of this system or only using on their own a version of this system, but could really use a refresher and be reminded that this is a really effective way to attack the constant flow of emails that we're getting to our inbox every day. So in this methodology, it has you look at your emails and decide whether you want to do it, delete it, delegate it, or schedule it. Pretty self-explanatory, but like I said, there's some nuances that we need to dive into here. So the first thing I would say before you even get to the first step is to decide when you want to check your emails. Everybody says that you should really be blocking time to check your emails, and none of us do it, and it really requires discipline, but it is something that I really believe assistants and admins need to start doing more, and it will really help you have a more productive day. It doesn't have to be set strong, hard times. However, I like to check it as soon as I get into the office, just before I go to lunch, so that I know there's nothing urgent that keeps me from going to lunch. Of course, when I get back from lunch, and about an hour and a half before the end of my day, because it actually takes me an hour to wind down my day. I have so many tabs open, I have so many projects started that I get pulled away for something else, and I need to close off, decide where I am, what I need to take to the next day, record that, so when I come in the next day, I'm ready to go. And that does take about an hour to close down, to write your list for tomorrow, to move on. And then I might check maybe just before I walk out the office. If you saw my video on being an Agile assistant using your smartphone, that doesn't scare me that something might come up, because I am an Agile assistant and I have apps on my phone that allow me to attack a lot of things as I'm walking out the door and allow me to still get my train, pick up my kids on time, and start dinner. So it's time to think about when you want to be checking your email. Okay, so now you're at your email. It's your designated time. Maybe it's first thing in the morning. You've just come into the office. What are you going to do? You look at your first email and you decide, can you do it right now? Can you delete it? Can you delegate it? Can you schedule it? So say you want to do it. This is for emails that have a task that can take under 15 minutes. And even 15 minutes is a bit too long. Something that you can just take care of it, knock it off your list. Maybe it's making a reservation, confirming a reservation, something that's only going to take 2 minutes on the phone, sending a document, something like that. You can cross it off your list, archive the email, move on. The next stage is to delete it. So this is delete and unsubscribe. We're not unsubscribing enough. We just keep deleting the same emails every week. That is insanity. So make sure that you're unsubscribing and you're deleting things, because I'm actually a big believer of saving all of your emails, if possible, that you can refer to later. However, this does not count for junky emails. This does not count for the one time you're like, hey, do you want to go to lunch? Yeah, I'll meet you downstairs. Get rid of those, because eventually saving all these emails are going to bog down your servers, and you want to make sure that you're getting rid of the ones that you don't really need. So delete it or unsubscribe. Third stage is delegate. Now, this is something as an assistant or an admin is really, really hard to do. We are used to being the person that gets delegated to. And so I kind of see it as everyone's juggling their tasks. And one of those tasks is on fire. One of the things they have to do is on fire. And we are the firemen. We have our asbestos gloves on, and we are grabbing those tasks that are burning up, and we put the fire out. And that's how we save the day. However, what happens when all of the tasks that you're juggling are on fire? Eventually, the place is going to burn down. If you keep getting too many tasks, you need to be able to pass those off to safe hands. You need to have a team around you. Now, this doesn't have to be defined as like your departmental team. I used to work for a company where I was the office manager. We used to get food deliveries every week for snacks and drinks for the office. And whenever it would come, I'd always get a text saying they're here, because you never knew when they were coming because it depended on their delivery schedule for that day. And I had 3 people that I knew were really great at this, didn't mind stopping. They liked it, thought it was a cool break for the day to be able to go and just do a menial task for a minute. And then they get the first pick of the snacks before they all go. And I would say, oh, Jackie knows how to do it, or call George, he knows how to do it. I'll be back in 15 minutes. And so I secretly kind of had those for every task. There were a couple people I was secretly teaching how to fix the printer, how to call the super in our building, the super that would, the handyman for the building. And I was kind of always making sure I had a team that I could delegate to. Now, this doesn't just mean delegating out, and it doesn't just mean delegating down. It can mean delegating up, and this could really just be empowering your supervisor, senior management, executives to complete certain things or get access to certain things that they have the power to access. They just tend to ask us. So I find that the way to get the ball rolling on this, so that you can delegate it in the future, is by saying, I'm happy to do it this time, but just in case I'm not here, this is how you do this, or this is where you can find this in the future. Or by using something like I talked about in my video about the phone, or my video about Agile Assistant, like using 1Password. They're always asking me for their password in an email. What's my password for this? Well, I've now empowered you to be able to find your password at any time by putting your thumb on your phone, opening it up, searching for what you're looking for, and there it is. So this is something, like I said, we don't often think about. So I sometimes will write it at the top of my list. I'll sometimes write it on a Post-it on days where I realize I'm kind of holding on to a lot of stuff and I'm starting to get overwhelmed, that I need to remember I can delegate, I can delegate, I can delegate. Sometimes I'll write delegate and empower. But that is something as assistants and admins we don't often do, and I encourage you to think of more. They're actually starting to sell like pre-made to-do lists and organizational like notepads for your day. Like, what do you have? Top 3 things to get done. What are you delegating today? And I love those. I think that's really great. Okay, and the last stage in this is to schedule it. Now, we already talked about scheduling the time that you are going to check your emails. Pop it in your calendar. We then need to look at the routine stuff. When are you going to go lunch? Schedule your breaks. Pop them in there. You can always move them around later, but you know you're going to take a 15-minute break twice a day, once a day, whatever. Pop those in your calendar for the normal times that you typically go. If you have routine meetings with your team, with your manager, pop those in as well. Now, as things come in, and you've already either done it, deleted it, delegated it, and now you're kind of one that needs a bit more thinking, or it needs a bit more time, pop it in your calendar. Just instantly put it in your calendar. A lot of times, a lot of email programs, you actually drag the email over into the calendar and it will populate an entry, which is really fun. I know in Gmail, if you click on the side in calendar and you hit a new entry, and if you're in this particular email, actually start to populate with the title of that email, which is really fun and really exciting and really time saver, a big time saver. Tripping on my words, not time saver, but this will help you visually see how you spend your day and why you are so frantic by the end of it. You actually think you can get more tasks done than you actually can, is what I find. You think, I've got this list of 25 things, I'm going to get through it, no problem. What you can probably do is like 8. And so this will really help you monitor how much you can get done in a day, and so you can start to make better decisions about what you say yes and no to, and feel more confident when you turn down something or ask if it can be done at a different time, because you can literally see how your day is already bogged down. So if you see the email, you know you need to schedule it, just start putting it into your calendar. I do not put things in for less than 15 minutes at a time, because that, even if it's something that's a 2-minute task, believe me, that time will get taken up with something. It might just be the reading of the email, trying to understand, maybe it's a long thread you've been CC'd into and you've kind of come into a middle of a conversation. You need to figure it out. You need to put on your Sherlock Holmes hat and detect what you're actually supposed to do in this email. It can take up more time than you think. I personally don't put things in for less than 30 minutes at a time. Now, if I know something is going to be longer than that, I know it's a report or some invoicing, I automatically put it in there for longer. And usually I'll put it, I know that I'm always doing invoicing on the same day. I know how long it takes me. And in those particular instances, I will put my time as busy. If it's something like book a restaurant, I put it, my time is free, but otherwise I put it in as busy. Now, the other way you can attack this, other than literally taking each task and assigning it a time, and then you can move them around. You wouldn't believe, once you start doing this, you can easily move them around, move them to another day, and it just makes you feel more in control. Once you can actually see what you have coming and can actually put it in your timeline. But you can also block schedule. So on days where you're dealing with finance now, I could look at a page of words and tell you the misspelled word. I cannot look at a page of numbers and tell you the number that's out of place. Actually, there's some amazing friends that can do that. I'm very envious of them. And so I'm a little bit slower with numbers, and I like to triple check everything that I do. So I make sure if I'm helping with any expense reports, invoicing, reading of contracts, chasing up sometimes debt collection, things like that, I am blocking my time. I'm going to make sure I've dedicated a day to that, and that I'm busy and I can do nothing else that day. And I make sure that people around me know it. And then I might have a bunch of finance tasks that I slot in during that block of time. Maybe it's onboarding in HR you do every Wednesday. Slap it in there. Another one that I personally do is follow-up Fridays. So I try not to take on, actually, if you follow me on Instagram and actually on LinkedIn, you'll know that I've actually retired from Fridays. I don't really work Fridays anymore. But in the old days, and even every now and then, so now I guess I would use it as Thursdays, but typically it was always follow-up Fridays. That's the day where I don't take on any new work. I just follow up on everything that is kind of has been trailing on. And if I can't resolve it by that Friday, then I move it to the next Friday or Friday 4 weeks from now, just whatever is appropriate. Now, if it's something that's time sensitive, I know something's due on Wednesday, I'll put the reminder in on Tuesday, something like that. But I find if it's something that I kind of like just need to check on that report, I'll put it in for follow-up Friday. And then I have the afternoon to kind of prepare for the following week and take care of some tasks that really need tidying up on a Friday. So I schedule that in my calendar. Now, I have gotten some resistance when I've talked to assistants that I've mentored about this. One was they said, I can't possibly put this in my calendar. It's too intertwined with my executive's calendar. Where there is a will, there's a way. That to me is actually a way of saying, I don't want to do this. Now, if you don't want to do this, no judgment. You might have a great reason. You might already have your own triage methodology that you use and it's working just fine for you, then keep working that methodology. However, if you're saying you can't do it because your calendar isn't too intertwined with your executives, it's the IT department can make you another calendar. You can also sign into Gmail and create a new account and you get a free calendar with that. You have a calendar on your phone. You can literally just make a Word document or a Google Doc that has make it with a simple table in it with times, and you pencil it in by hand. This is doable, and I highly, highly recommend it because it will help you visually see how you are spending your time and be able to more confidently tell people, I cannot take this package to FedEx right now. This is why. And if you can wait until 4 o'clock, I can do it then. And say that with confidence. Say maybe next time you don't give me 5 minutes notice, something like that, so that they know, look, this is why I can't do it right now. Because I think a lot of times assistants and admins don't always get the benefit of the doubt when we actually have to say no. And but we don't. But that's another thing I'll tell you about that another time. But another tip I have is that I never say no. I may not say yes, but I never say no. And we'll get to that at another time. But you can be confident in telling these people, this is not the time. I cannot do it this time, but I can do it in another time. So those are, that was one of the ways that I was told that that's just not going to work for them. And another way was to say, I just don't have enough time. I don't have enough time to schedule all this stuff. And my argument there is, do we not, usually at the base of our job, schedule our executives and our clients, if you're a VA, whatever, to the nines? Don't we tell them they must stick by their schedule? Don't we put everything into their calendar and they follow it because they know that that's where they need to be? That is their guiding light. So why wouldn't we do it for ourselves? It doesn't make sense to me. It's kind of like Deepak Chopra, who says, people that say, he says you should meditate. People say I don't have enough time, and he says then you should be doing it twice a day or twice as long. I love that, because that's kind of the same thing here when it comes to your mailbox and doing email triage and scheduling things. You need to put these things into your calendar so you actually know how much time you have to attack these, especially if you're feeling a bit overwhelmed and you have a lot of different tasks coming in and the ones that you're not going to anticipate and you get interrupted a lot. Put it in your calendar. So that is email triage. Let me know what you think. Have you used this before? Have you heard of it before? Have you heard of it, not used it? Do you have any questions about it? Are you going to give me a different objection? Which, again, don't use it. If it doesn't work for you, I don't blame you. But I think where there's a will, there's a way. If there's something you want to use but you don't see a way how, let's talk it through. I love doing these videos with you. I hope to see you in the next one. And until then, I'll see you next time.